Hey everybody, today we're going to be playing through The Adventures of Batman and Robin for the Sega Genesis. Now this is actually sort of a personal favorite of mine. I played a lot in the 90s. Now I did just try playing this for a little bit just to sort of get familiar with it again, and man, it took me like 20 minutes to get used to this game again, which has been happening a lot to me lately. A lot of these games I was really familiar with back in the 90s, you know, I turn on, I try to jump right into, I'm like, yeah, I can just beat the game because I could 20 years ago, and I was really familiar with it then. I would play it every week, finish it every time, and I got my ass kicked, to be honest with you. But I think I'm familiar with it enough now to where we should probably be able to roll through the game. I sort of got the basics down again and the motions going, so yeah, let's do this. Now there's actually two reasons I'm doing this video though. I'm going to say first off before we actually really start. For one, fellow YouTuber Paul Adventurous, he actually did a video on the Adventures of Batman and Robin for the Genesis, or Mega Drive as it's called in his country. And you know, that kind of like motivated me to finally get around to doing my Let's Play or Long Play. I originally wanted to do a long play of this game, and I've been wanting to do it for a long time, but you know, I'm kind of not really doing long plays right now, recording the footage and then having to record the commentary track later, which adds another hour and a half to the whole process. And you know, I figured, hey, why not kill two birds with one stone? I'll do a Let's Play. So you get the commentary while I'm playing it, and you get the whole full game run, provided I actually manage to complete it. So thanks to Paul Adventurous for doing your video, because you sort of sparked this, you sort of motivated me to do this, especially with all your comments. You were talking like, man, this game's got great music, great graphics, and I was like, yeah, it does! I totally forgot how good this game was, and so here we are now. I'm kind of motivated to play this game, so let's go ahead and hit start and get right into it. Now you've got some options. It's just basic stuff like credits and sound test. The sound test is great though. I'm glad they have a sound test, and the music is actually done by Jesper Kid, who did the music to games like Subterranea and Red Zone, Scorcher, and Amok, and then later Hitman and Assassin's Creed. So I mean, the dude's been all over the place, and some of my favorite stuff by him is from the Sega Genesis era, from games like Batman and Robin and Subterranea. So here we are, we're now into the game. Let me go ahead and explain things a little bit, but first actually let me put my headphones on so I can sort of hear what I'm doing, just as usual. There we go. Alright, now if you press B, you actually jump, like so, and if you press A or C, you fire. Now there's a couple other things you can do. You can actually fire in all directions, well, 8 ways, and you can do that while jumping and so forth. You can hang on to ledges like so, and if you press down and jump, you can, well, basically get off that ledge if you want. Just hold up if you want to hold on to it, and then you can let go once you're attached. You don't have to keep holding up. So basically what you can do is you can tap up or hold up until you hold up, and then you can fire in any direction you want, which you'll be doing a lot of that in this game, trust me. Now you've also got a jump kicking. Just hit the jump button again when you're in the air. It does a couple hits, it's actually not too bad. And if you hold down and jump, you'll do a downwards jump kick. Now this is actually really useful. For one, it's useful because it does multiple hits and it's good for attacking, you know, little clumps of enemies. And you can also sort of dash along with it. It actually makes for a faster transport. You know, you can move along the screen faster by jump kicking, faster than you would if you were just walking. So certain boss fights, to get out of the way faster, it's better to just jump kick like so. Now you've also got punching, and that's only when enemies are up close to you. You basically hit the attack button again, just like so, and Batman and Robin will punch. Now you saw there were two characters you could pick from, Batman or Robin. They're both identical basically, they just look different. One looks like Batman and one looks like Robin, so nothing special there. No special character abilities or anything like that as far as I'm aware of. I don't think there are any special abilities. So that's basically it. Up in the top left hand corner of the screen, you've got this bar that charges up, and when you unleash it, it's basically, it's like a stronger version of your attack. You can basically let it charge and shoot out a stronger shot like so. It'll cut through multiple enemies at once, which can be useful provided it's charged up. Doesn't take long for it to charge up, but you're going to find that there's going to be so many enemies on screen later on in the game that you're not going to really have time to charge. Typically. It'll charge occasionally when you're like going from screen to screen and there just happens to be a break in enemies, but it's not going to happen often. Lastly, you've got your lives up in the top left as well, next to your points. It says 2. I have 2 lives right now. And now you've got these little sort of circular pellets around it, and those are your life pellets. You actually get a nice life bar in this game, and the cool thing is that enemies will often drop hearts that'll recharge your health and so forth. So there are lots of ways to recharge your health in this game. So let's go ahead and get right into the game, guys. And what I'm going to be trying to do is getting these power-up icons right here, and there's 3 colors in the game. The orange ones are sort of your batarangs or whatever they're called, and basically it'll turn into a 3-way shot once it's fully charged up. The green one sort of shoots out this sort of baton kind of thing with like a string on it. I don't know the correct term for it. I know there's a correct term for it. It's just sort of a singular shot. It's pretty powerful, and it gets kind of big, but you know, it's alright. And then there is the whatever the third one's called. It's blue, and it's kind of like the batarang. It's the same shot. It goes 3 ways eventually, but it's not as powerful. So I really don't see the point in using it. It does have this special ability though, where it can sort of, you know, leave these electrical bits behind and get a few extra hits in on your enemies when it's fully charged. But again, it's not one of those things I've really found much use in. So I prefer to stick to the orange weapon, the batarangs, provided that's the correct name for it. And that's basically it. It's got a nice wide shot. And yeah, it's got a nice balance between nice balance of power and basically you know, screen space it takes up, which is especially good when you get a lot of what some people like to call popcorn enemies, just the guys that basically take like just one hit. I gotta be careful. I gotta get some life back because, well, I'm doing kind of bad just talking. There we go. Now again, occasionally enemies will drop health as well, but sometimes you also get lucky and they're in these you know, various canisters that are thrown throughout each stage. These skulls I just picked up, they actually destroy basically everything on screen, which is always nice when you're having a hard time. Having a hard time getting used to the game like I am. Alright, 2 more pickups, power-up pickups I believe, and I've got my firepower maxed out. And we're at the first boss. And, you know, this game, gameplay-wise, I don't think it's terribly challenging. I think it's going to give you a hard time when you first play it, but it's really the bosses that are the real challenge in this game. They have very specific patterns you have to follow, and the first times, or the first few times you get to a boss, you are probably... God, why did I get hit by that? I know better than that. The first few times you get to a boss, you're probably going to get hammered by them, because you really have to know the patterns in order to survive. Now, if there's one thing I've got ingrained in my mind with this game from the many amount of times I've played this game in the past, is the boss patterns. I know the boss patterns very well still, especially the earlier bosses in the game. And so that is one thing that will stick with you if you play the game a lot. Just like any old school game that is really pattern based, that doesn't have a whole lot of randomization going for it. And that's it. That's the first boss. Now, the whole game is basically divided up into like these sort of chapters. And in this first chapter, we're basically going for the Joker. And, you know, you have to fight his henchmen and whatever. And so that was Harley Quinn. You actually have to fight her again after this section. And then after that, you have to go to another section, another quick stage, and then you'll fight the Joker, and then we go on to basically Chapter 2 or Act 2 or whatever they call it at the very beginning. Alright, now I'm maxed out on my firepower. Your firepower doesn't get huge in this game. It's suitable. Doesn't get as big as I would like, but it's still suitable. And just make sure you're quick to upgrade your weapons, because it'll make a big difference. When you die in this game, you actually you get downgraded a little bit. You don't lose your firepower completely, if I recall correctly. I think you just get downgraded. But if you're not fully powered and, you know, there's a ton of enemies on screen, it can get a little more challenging. Because again, you have a lot less bullets that are coming out, so, you know, you're not going to kill enemies as quickly. You're not going to mow down large groups of enemies as fast as you would if it's, say, maxed out like it is right now. My last playthrough, I got an extra life here, and it's not happening, so I'm going to assume that the extra lives in this game are randomized. No, that's not. Okay. They're not randomized. At least in the canisters, they're not randomized. And actually, you know, the items in canisters might not be randomized either, now that I think about it. I think they might be set per level, so if you can sort of, you know, plan well, or get used to the game, you'll kind of know what's coming ahead, you know, where the extra lives are, where your, you know, health pellets are. Not health pellets, your health restores, whatever you want to call them. Your hearts. That would be the best best thing to call them. I can't even freaking talk straight today. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's wrong with me today, but it happens. It's probably that big pizza meal I just ate. It was Domino's pizza. It was pretty tasty. Good Sunday food. Good Sunday food. Actually, this is technically like my Saturday. I'm recording this on a Sunday, but I have Sundays and Mondays off from work. I have to work Saturdays, so my Sundays are like your Saturdays. Now you could actually stay back there, and I think those enemies actually respawn, and I should have let them keep respawning, because the dark green ones that take more hits, they actually drop hearts. And you can sort of stay back and just build up your hearts and build up your life, basically. You obviously don't want to get hit by that crane thing. There we go. That's close. One more hit, I would have died. And once all your pellets are gone, that means you have one more hit, and then that's it. So, alright, just making sure everything's still recording. Last time I did a Let's Play with my my Gunlord video from last week, my camera just went out. Even though my camera's there, I should be looking at that. But I wanted to also make sure that my audio and capture footage was still recording too. Before I get, you know, an hour and a half through the video and then realize it's not working. That would suck. It's happened before. Shameful to say that it has happened before. Oh man, that wasn't worth going for. But yeah, during my Gunlord Let's Play last week, my camera just randomly stopped recording. And I didn't notice it. It looked like it was still recording, but the file on the SD card just... It stopped. It was like a 90-minute video, but it stopped at like the 50-minute mark. I don't know why. Maybe it got corrupt or something. Kind of sucked, because, you know, when I do these videos, I like to have the face-to-face video going through the whole video, not just a little bit of the way. But, you know, when you spend an hour and a half recording something, you're not going to go ahead and do it again. It's just, it's that sort of thing. You don't want to, I don't know, just playing games like this, I don't want to have to re-record 1,000 times. It's not worth it to me. I mean, people, I think, are pretty understanding of, like, technical difficulties and glitches, so, you know, so long as you post something or write something about it in the video and the footage doesn't just randomly disappear, then I think it's okay. People are understanding. I don't think they care all that much. But I don't think they care enough to warrant me having to re-record an hour and a half long gameplay session again. Now when you're ducked to the ground, you can only shoot, you can shoot down, but you can't shoot diagonally down. You can only shoot down. So if you want to shoot diagonally down, you have to jump. Something else, something to keep in mind. Alright, now we're at the boss fight, guys. And we're at the Joker. He actually gets pretty aggressive. It's pretty awesome. I love the boss fights in this game because they're intense. They're very aggressive, and it's like, you know, this is kind of how, like, I would imagine these characters. Now, I'm not all that familiar with, you know, like the Batman mythos, aside from, like, what I've seen in movies and so forth, but it's just, it's really great how they're just super aggressive in this game. It's good. And, you know, a lot of the boss designs in this game remind me of games that you would play from, like, Treasure. The bosses are just kind of, they're very creative, they're very unique, but they're fast, they have a lot of different patterns, they just go all out and they're crazy. It's great. That's it. End of level 1, guys. It's such a good game. One of the most impressive things about this game are the visuals. The visuals are just very well done. Even like just the static backgrounds, they look good. They're just, you know, they're shaded well, they're detailed. It all looks good. On this stage, you got a little bit of parallax scrolling in the background where you got the buildings that are farther away. And that was pretty standard stuff for the Genesis. But once you start getting into like the what looks like line scrolling and stuff like that, it's very, very good stuff. Very impressive. Whew. This is actually probably one of my favorite tracks in this game. Musically, it's just pretty sweet. It's got a breakbeat, and it's edgy. It's good. I like it a lot. This is one of those tracks I used to listen to a lot when I would listen to like sound test. It's good stuff for those that like electronic music. It's really good stuff. So here we go. This is where Two-Face basically starts coming down and starts tossing dynamites. And it's got patterns. Sometimes it goes to the left and the right. Sometimes it goes to both sides and in the middle. So you got to watch out for it. Position yourself accordingly as it's coming down. Let's see. It went to the left and right. So basically what I did is I went to the right and then I went left as it was coming down, and I was able to dodge it basically without getting hurt. But if you're not careful, you will get hurt. So well, be careful. Some people are probably like, easier said than done. That's usually how it is. And oh, I picked up the blue power-up. Not a fan of the blue power-up. It just doesn't seem as powerful as the red one. I mean, maybe that's all in my head. It just doesn't feel as powerful. But lots of skulls in this stage. So once a red one becomes available again, I'm going to switch to that. And actually, you know what? What I'm going to do is switch to the green one so I can just show you what that does. See, it's a little bit bigger, but you don't have that massive spread shot that you do with the other ones. So it is more powerful than the other ones. So you know, that's the bonus with this one. I actually used to prefer the green one. When I was younger, I would always use the green one. But you know, as I got older, I think I prefer the red one just because it's got that wider spread shot, which is more preferable to me in games like Contra and just shooty type games in general. Having you know, wide spread shots is always good. You can basically just hit more at once, you know. Now when he drops that dynamite, basically it goes across the floor, so you want to jump over it. And you always want to double jump. You want to get as high as you can, because you want to sort of minimize the risk of, well, getting hit by it. So I always double jump when I can in this game when it's safe, and it's safe right here. This is such a cool part when the whole thing just starts falling. It's awesome. It's intense. It's just really well done, and I already defeated him. Just have to watch out for these ones. And that's it. Just the graphics in this game are just so awesome. And the crazy thing is that the Genesis doesn't even have, say, like what the Super Nintendo does with you know, specialized graphics chips that can sort of have these graphical techniques just sort of like built into it. You know, like the SNES has Mode 7. But the Genesis just does all this without any like specialized hardware helping it along. It's great. So it's impressive. It's actually, this is definitely one of the most impressive Genesis games in my opinion, in terms of that, in terms of visuals. So here is the second part of the two-phase stage. Now this actually makes up the most of this level. It makes up, yeah, the most of this level. This is a cool little section. It's a shoot 'em up section, but it's very, very long, and it gets relatively monotonous. It's kind of the same thing over and over again, and that's kind of like how this game is. It's very repetitious, but this part is especially repetitious. It's just, it goes on and on and on. And if there's only one real complaint I have in with this game, it's this level is just, it's too long. I still don't mind all that much. I still think it doesn't detract that much from the game because the graphics are so good, and I like the music, and it's just, it plays very well. So I try not to let it detract from the game too much. Plus, if you're the person, kind of person that likes to go for score, there's a lot of opportunities for points here. And you can see the cars down on the streets. That's cool. Yeah, and you get points for just about anything you blow up in this game, from what I can tell. Well, aside from those missiles that come out. But the other guys, that sort of biplane looking thing, the little things he shot out, you got points for those. You get points for these missiles. Cool. Lots of opportunities for points. And I just pressed the B button like I had a bomb or something. Just like in a traditional shooter. Now, you don't have any bombs in this mode, so B doesn't do anything right now. I don't even know why I did that. Oh, man. Apologize for any sniffling I'm doing. Hopefully it's not as bad as it was in the Gunlord video. I was actually coming down with a cold that day. Later that night, I felt kind of sick, actually. Had the sniffles, had the runs like that. My throat started to hurt. It was very uncomfortable. I almost felt like I had a fever too, but I didn't have a fever. It was one of those, maybe it was a head cold, I don't know, whatever you call them. But it was definitely some sort of slight infection, cold, whatever. So for those of you guys that watched my Gunlord video, that sort of explains why I was sniffling a lot in that video. That was really the start of it. I mean, like just a couple hours later after doing that video, I went to work and I just really started feeling like garbage. Oh, I missed all those health pellets or hearts. Because I was too busy talking. Trying to survive as much as I can. I would love to be able to beat this game without continuing. But Two Faces stage is much more challenging. It's much trickier. And the Mad Hatter stage is kind of tricky too. It's definitely a lot more difficult than these first two levels are. So I need to sort of play it safe to make sure I can get through those stages without dying. Or dying too much. And it's always disappointing when you die on areas that, well, really aren't that hard. Like, this isn't really all that hard. It gets more challenging, you know, more missiles come out and whatever, but it's never like a cave shooter. It's never even like a Thunder Force game where there's a lot of stuff going on. This is a very basic segment, and it's not too terribly complicated. Alright, got some hearts. Got some more hearts. And more hearts. Can we get more hearts? We just got more hearts. And more hearts. Holy crap, they're literally littering the playfield with hearts. I'll take them. I get a full health bar again. I'm just like tapping my foot to the beat. It's good stuff. I think really games like this really influenced my sort of attraction to electronic music. Because it was really games like this, it was really kind of like my first, you know, aside from the really cheesy stuff in the 90s, like the Mortal Kombat theme and whatever, you know, that was really popular to kids. Video games were my entryway to sort of, you know, a lot of the kinds of music I listened to. I'm not really counting rock, but like the electronic genre. You know, I played the hell out of games like Batman and Robin and Subterranea, which Jesper Kid did the soundtracks to. You know, and they both had basically electronic-focused soundtracks. They had four-to-the-floor rhythms. It was, you know, there were acid lines and stuff like that you would find in techno. And it's just, you know, I think that's really why I enjoy a lot of the electronic music I do today. And, you know, and you know what's kind of funny is I was DJing for a little while. It was something I kind of wanted to learn how to do back in 2006 or so. I did it up until about halfway last year, 2011. And you know, I never played out very often. I played out a handful of times. It was fun. Got to do my own thing here and there. And you know, I've actually kind of boxed up my turntables. They're still here, but they're not hooked up. I hope to hook it back up when I get to my new apartment, because I'll have more space, I'll have more freedom to make noise. We'll see what happens. But, you know, I discovered a lot of tunes because I was learning how to DJ. I got into electronic breakbeats, I got into house, I got into, you know, more hard house, I got into progressive trance, all that stuff. Drum and bass, and you know, I discovered tracks and I'd be like, man, that sounds like Batman and Robin. but then, you know, what was kind of funny is one day, you know, friends and I, we would share music back and forth. You know, it's what some DJs do. Be like, oh, you got that track? Let me try it. You know, and you know, you kind of share between people. Just when you know, mix together, you kind of mix libraries and whatever. Okay, now this sounds like pirating, so I'm not even gonna go there. But basically, I was letting my friends see what music I had on my hard drives, and I came across the Batman and Robin soundtrack because I had actually ripped it back in the day. And ripping it back in the day basically meant hooking your Genesis up to your computer, going to the sound test menu and recording it. I had a bunch of tunes recorded from this game because I liked it so much. And my DJ friends at the time, they heard it and they were like, wow, what is this? This is really good stuff. And I was like, yeah, dude, it's from a video game. It's on the Sega Genesis. And they were like, no way. Like, you know, these are guys that were actually pretty serious club DJs. You know, they had played to parties in front of like thousands of people. You know, they've played at those types of events, and they were giving this game props in terms of the soundtrack. They were like, this is really good. And when I told them what year it came out, it was like 94 or 93, 94, 95, and they were like, wow, this is the kind of stuff that you could have actually heard in clubs back then. And you know, obviously the quality isn't perfect, but just, you know, when they found out it was coming from the Sega Genesis, they were just blown away, and they thought the tracks had really good structure, and they were just really good tracks. And that really speaks for how well Jesper Kid did with the soundtrack in this game. It's just such a great soundtrack. Again, this kind of music's not for everybody. Not everybody's gonna like you know, that older, edgier electronic dance music. But, you know, for people like me, it's right up my alley. And, you know, again, like I said, you know, aside from that really kind of cheesy pop-ier stuff that was on the radio in the 90s, this was one of my earliest experiences with electronic music. You know? And, you know, in some ways, I kind of owe it to Jesper Kid and Batman and Robin and Subterranea on the Sega Genesis. Super Nintendo had some stuff like this, but to me it was more of the cheesier kind. Like, one game that gets especially big props is Space Megaforce, or Super Alesta, as it's known in Japan. And it had that, it sounded more like it came straight from the 90s. It had that very cheesy sort of pop style going forward, the cheesy sort of piano rolls. Now, I like those piano rolls sometimes, don't get me wrong, especially modern tracks that sort of like do a throwback to the old piano rolls, and some of the older UK based stuff. You know, that's just classic. But in some cases, I just feel it doesn't hold up very well. And in Space Megaforce's case, that cheesy piano roll stuff just is. I don't know. So in some cases, you know, what Jesper Kid did with this game, the soundtrack, and Subterranea, it was just great because it holds up really well too. It's, you know, at least for people that are into electronic music, especially the grittier, edgier kind, I think this stuff holds up great. So this is basically it for this level. You go through this whole battleship, and then you get to the boss fight, which is this massive helicopter, and another banging like techno tune comes on, and it's awesome. There's an extra life, very good. And basically what you have to do is hit these, hit the enemy in the center. And one thing I forgot to mention is that the enemies have a life bar in this game, and it's actually denoted by this sort of siren light up at the top. So just watch out for that light, and it actually ticks down. It always starts off at 99, and then once it reaches 0, the boss basically dies. And now we're at the main boss. He can be kind of tough because he acts in a very much in a kamikaze kind of manner. And the light that they use for this on this boss is just so cool. The spotlight is very cool. And it changes colors too later on, and sort of denotes what mode the boss is in. I think he's gonna shoot out missiles or something. Oh yeah, the little, oh shoot, bomb things. Damn it, one more hit, I'm dead. Ah, shouldn't have gotten hit by that because it's very easy to dodge it. But now you can see what I mean by sort of a kamikaze manner. He's just coming right after me. Does it go to a red one? I thought it goes to a red one. There we go. What does this one do? Oh yeah. Yeah, let's just kill him. Let's not figure out if he's got any more forms. So, that's was just another example of some awesome visual effects in this game. Now we're at the Mad Hatter stage. This is a more challenging stage. This is where things start getting a little bit trickier. You got these little dudes that just keep jumping around. You really want to get the spread shot on this level. You got these guys up in the ceiling, and they drop these bombs or grenades on the playfield. I'm going to watch out for them. And this is where you really want to start using your double jump a lot. If you haven't gotten used to using it yet, then better get used to using it now. Because you're actually going to need it for the next section. There's actually some platforming and some things to get through that I think are basically almost impossible to get through without double jumping through them. Because again, it speeds you up. I mean, you can get hit and get through them, but the goal for me is always to try to do as much as I can without getting hit. There we go. Spread shot. Alright. Now this is also where the power-ups start turning gray sometimes. You don't want to touch them when they turn gray. It'll downgrade your weapon, so don't touch it. Well, it's nice that they're dropping hearts. That means I can build up my life. Whoa. When they blink, that's when they actually hurt you. You can touch them when they don't blink, but you know, sometimes their blinking is randomized, or it feels random to me anyway, so try not to touch them, because you know they might start to charge up, and then that's when you get hurt. What I'm doing is destroying these bombs, or these guys on the top. So not a lot of talking. I apologize, guys. I'm trying to just focus, I guess. This is where the game really starts picking up, so And on this section, there's usually enough time to basically let your weapon charge, so you can sort of get a more powerful hit in on those big streams of guys. Oh man. Alright, now we're on to the boss fight. Now this boss is cool. This is one of my favorite bosses in the game. He's tough. His basically his claws come down. It's the Cheshire, a large version of the Cheshire. Cheshire? Is it Cheshire or Cheshire? Cheshire cat. I don't remember. But he's very, very cool. He's got this just mean-looking face, always looking at you. And it's like wiggling every time you hit it. Not even every time you hit it, just, you know, once he does this thing, it's part of his pattern. It's just very good looking graphics. I mean, obviously they look a little dated. You know, if the system was capable of higher resolution graphics, it would look much smoother. But it's still very good. You'll notice this game never slows down. I don't think it ever slows down, which is really a feat. I mean, when you look at comparable platforms of the day, you know, they would slow down a lot. So the only thing about this boss is that he takes a lot of hits. You've got to really be patient. And what I would usually do is not do that. Is jump kick. Ooh, crap, man! I'm not even focusing. This is where he starts doing patterns, or like little sweeps with his eye lasers. But at the beginning of the fight, basically what I would do is just jump kick his nose a lot. And after, when this happens, you want to get over to the right because his face is going to fall down. Which is a really cool effect too. Really cool effects. You don't see that kind of stuff on Genesis games, you know. Aw, man, I got the weapon I don't want. The weapon I don't like. It's all good. It's all good. Okay. Oh, okay. So the skulls don't destroy the bosses. So it only destroys smaller enemies. Now you don't want to fall down because it hurts you, like so. It'll pop you right back up if you look at my health, and it takes about 2 pellets away, so you definitely don't want to fall. But chances are you're going to fall because this is where it starts to get tricky. And this is where the double jump comes in handy. So jump and then double jump. I don't think it's possible to get through that part without double jumping, so again, if you haven't gotten used to it by this point, well, it's about time you want to get used to it. Oh man, that was bad. Very bad. Fell down twice. It's very easy to slip down because it's very easy to slip down. Wow, it downgrades you quite a bit. I think about 3 times. Alright. Yeah, this is a very kind of darker, grittier electronic music that definitely isn't going to be for everybody, but yeah, I like that grittier stuff when it comes to electronic music, certain styles of electronic music. Actually, no, electronic music in general, I mean, that's just what I like. I love the euphoric type of stuff, but I don't like it when it gets too cheesy. Stuff like really popular trance and progressive house, or house in general. When it gets too cheesy, it's just a little too much for me sometimes. Sometimes. Most of the time. That part always gets me. Alright. Oh, come on. It spread out a little bit and I got hit by it. If you kind of study it, if you sort of sit to the side and just analyze it, these shots these things do, they do have patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll jump. Just like that. Oh, this is gonna be tough. I don't have any firepower upgrades. This is gonna suck. Come on, man. Oh, cool, got an extra life from him. Now, these little buggers, they pop out of the walls, and they're kind of actually difficult to see, and they blend in with the background that they come out of. So you kind of have to figure out where they're coming from and base your jumps around that. Try to focus on where they are if you don't want to get hit. Got it. They're really tough to see. It's got some awesome graphical effects here. I mean, I'm a sucker for this. Oh shit! I forgot that he came out from that end. On this guy, you really want to try to wait until he jumps high, I believe. Kind of like so. He'll take a lot of life away when he hits you. Just like that. What I'm doing is just sort of letting my thing charge up, because it's taking away 2 hit points off his bar typically, which seems to be doing pretty well. See, now if I didn't die and I had my max firepower, he'd be dead already. So I mean, losing your firepower definitely makes a big difference. I don't think it would make as big of a difference if I was using the green power-up, but I picked up that blue power-up when I didn't want it. So now I'm stuck with it. It's definitely the weakest of the bunch when you're when it's just a single shot. So you don't want to pick it up. Yeah, it's just not worth it. Alright, now we're on to another sort of shooty section. You're on like a jetpack here, which is pretty cool. Again, some more awesome graphical effects in the background. I know I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff, but it's good. Alright, so we got the red shot. Let's get the red shot again. Cool, got a 3-way going, got some hearts. I really hope my audio doesn't go out of sync on this playthrough like it did in my Gunlord video. I was watching towards the end of my Gunlord video to make sure it came out right on YouTube, and I was like, hey, why am I commenting on something that happened 5 seconds ago? And I realized my audio track was way out of sync. And it seemed like it was on sync in the beginning, at least in Vegas. And even on the YouTube recording, it seemed like it was in sync. Can't even talk straight. So I don't know if it's something that, you know, like maybe the audio track slowly gets out of sync as you progress through the video, or if you skip forward ahead in the video, it does it. I don't know. Maybe it's a quirk with YouTube. I don't know, to be honest. It's just all theories for me right now. Wondering, basically, why it does it. Oh, I picked up the blue one again. Alright, let's switch back. There we go. So yeah, hopefully my audio track doesn't get screwed up again. So for those of you guys that watched my Gunlord Let's Play, hopefully, well, for one, I apologize for that, for anyone that sat through my Gunlord Let's Play. But again, hopefully it's not happening right now as I'm talking. Looks like my camera is still recording, and all my other stuff is still good, so hopefully you actually get a full video track this time too. Nose is really itchy for some reason. This is another section with some pretty sweet graphical effects, but I think some of the best visuals in the game are this next boss fight. It's just a really sweet effect that happens on the Mad Hatter boss. It's just awesome. And every time you destroy one of these cups that comes out at you, the tablecloth on the bottom swishes from the left to the right. That's so cool. I know, it's really just simple stuff, but it's so well polished. It just looks very good. Even when the glass shatters apart, it's, you know, the little pieces hit the table and then they bounce off. It's a very detailed game. Very detailed game. Alright, now we're at the boss. Now he's getting stuff. The Mad Hatter. Awesome boss. It's just... it's cool. I love the visuals in this section. If you just look at the road, it is so cool looking. But that's not even the start of it. It starts to move, just like so. It turns into hills. You can actually see a little overlay of Mad Hatter's face on the playfield. And it's kind of trippy, actually, now that you think about it. Especially once the boss fight actually picks up. It gets faster. You gotta watch out for what he drops to the playfield because you will get hurt if you touch anything. You don't want to get hit by whatever the domino pieces or the walls he's got up. And again, this is where double jumping really comes into play. Should be able to just double jump. Oh, I didn't do it. Do it again. Oh, I didn't. Try it again. Yeah, there we go. My timing was off. Now at the end of the stage, when you defeat him, he's going to drop his hat. And when he does that, you have a few seconds to punch his hat, and it actually drops an extra life. So we'll see if I can manage to do that. If you're not quick about it, you might or if you forget, it might be too late. I got 2 lives left. I could definitely use an extra life because I think one more hit I'll probably die at this boss. No, now it's one more hit. Alright, now he's gonna go backwards. This is where he starts dropping out rabbits left and right, and they just explode, so be careful. I can't believe I still remember this stuff. Alright, now he's dead. There's his hat. Get it! Got it! Oh, right at the last second. I wasn't quick enough, but I still managed to do it. Alright, now we're at the final stage, guys. This is towards the end of the game. Oh, they just call it level 4. It's not chapter or act, it's just level. Kill these flying guys because they're a pain. Small guys are not as bad, but it's the flying dudes you really want to get rid of first because they start... Again, some more awesome graphical effects. I know graphics don't make a game, but hey man, it sure helps. Sometimes it helps. A lot. For those really appreciative of just good visuals on, you know, limited hardware or hardware that's very limited in capability and scale, you know, when you see some really cool stuff like this, it sort of just, you know, makes you stop and go, man, that's cool. That's good. You don't really see as much of that on, well, you see, I think I'm a little jaded in this regard. I don't feel there's as much that makes me go, wow, on modern hardware. Probably because there is just, you know, I'm not even going to go anywhere with this topic. I'm not going to say anything. It's just going to make me look like an idiot, I'm sure. So I'm not going to say anything. I can be jaded at times and think, oh, I'm not impressed by new stuff anymore. But to be honest, I actually don't play as much new stuff as I used to. So, you know, if I say, oh, the new hardware just doesn't seem like they're tapping it, or it's as impressive like they're pushing the hardware like they were back in the old days, I could be entirely wrong. They might be completely maxing out the modern hardware now, and it could be really impressive, but I don't play enough modern games to really have an educated say in that, so I'm just not going to say it. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Getting hit by these guys. Now these sort of scientist looking dudes, they actually throw out some of these bottles, and you really don't want to get touched by them, if I recall correctly. They might even kill you in one hit. I don't remember. I might be wrong, but just don't let them throw it out. It's for the better. Oh, okay, so those guys explode. Okay. I just now noticed that. Alright, got some hearts. Again, some pretty sweet scrolling in the background. It's just the visuals are awesome in this game. So well done. when people, you know, get into arguments, just stupid web forums about their Super Nintendo versus Genesis and whatever, and when people really start knocking the Genesis because it didn't have things like Mode 7, they're being uneducated. They haven't seen games like this. Now, you know, I'm not going to say which is better, because to be honest, I think they both did a pretty much even job in terms of visuals, except one platform I think had to work a lot harder than the other did, and that would be the Genesis. I think they, you know, again, the Genesis didn't have just those specialized graphics chips that just had certain capabilities built right in. They, you know, it probably took very little trickery to get, say, Mode 7 to work. It was probably a lot easier to get that to work than, say, getting something like this done on a Genesis. But, you know, again, this isn't some kind of like Genesis versus Super Nintendo rant. It's just, it's a comparison. And it's funny how heated some people will actually still get on forums about the subject. And some of it is reasonable, because some people, well, let's just say fanboys, are still out there today, and they're uneducated. Some of them are just uneducated. Some of them haven't seen games like this running on a Genesis, and they'll just say, oh, Sega Genesis sucks. But then again, you also see some people saying, oh, Super Nintendo sucks, it was all just Mode 7, and that's absolutely not true either. If you look at a game like Super Metroid, there's some absolutely brilliant stuff from the Super Nintendo that they obviously went above and beyond, you know, just using canned, you know, Mode 7 techniques, you know, that you saw a lot of early on, you saw a lot of early on in the Super Nintendo's life through games like Pilot Wings and F-Zero, things like that. But, you know, again, Super Metroid, even Super Castlevania 4 early on had some really sweet effects, and most of it was probably just Mode 7, but it had clever use of it. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but later games just had some really sweet effects as well. And even games like Nosferatu just had some really interesting effects as well, like with the sort of cutscenes it had, and just how smooth the animation was in that game. It's, you know, so both systems I think were very, they were both very good in the visuals department, except I think one platform really, in many cases, one platform, the Genesis, I think had to be worked a lot harder in order to get the same kind of effect. But the system was technically a good bit faster. It had, I think it had more memory, and it had a very good CPU for the time. The 68000 processor was just really good. It was used in so many different things. It powered computers at the time. I mean, so it had a fast 68000 CPU, and what it lacked in, you know, the video processors, it made up for in just sheer power. So through programming trickery, it was able to get, you know, a lot of those similar effects you saw on, you know, later Super Nintendo games. Not even later, early Super Nintendo games. And this game is basically the perfect example of that. Damn it! I was hoping he'd drop a heart before I died, and he did, but I died. So I don't even know where I was going with that whole rant. I know when I do these Let's Plays and when I do my long plays, I get on these tangents that don't really have a lot to do with the actual game itself. But, you know, whenever I get to talking about people, or get talking to people about, you know, systems capabilities, you know, I'm not really sort of a, oh, we're at the final boss already. I'm not like a huge like tech head when it comes to the specs. Or like how it all works. I'm not an engineer. I'm not anything like that. I go by examples given and basic specs, numbers, you know, clock speeds, things like that. And then there are always other things to consider, like, you know, you might have two different processors that are rated at the same clock speed, but one might be a lot less efficient. You know, it might be focused around a different kind of bus, etc., etc. It's kind of like comparing, AMD processors to, or let's just say it would be like comparing a very specific AMD processor to a very specific Intel processor. They both have different quirks. One is going to be faster than the other, typically, even if they're rated at the same megahertz or clock speed, is what they call it. So, I kind of bring that into my considerations a little bit, but I mostly go by what I've actually seen. It's just, you can see the visuals in this game, and you can kind of and you can compare it to what else was available on the platform. It doesn't take a genius to see or make basic comparisons like that. And then when people get into debates on forums and whatever about what looks better on, say, the Super Nintendo versus the Genesis, and I think in those situations, to really give an honest, educated, intellectual point of view that's not biased, it's not driven by biased thoughts, is you got to play a lot of games on the systems. You got to play a lot of games to base your opinions by, to base your thoughts on, and I base specs into that outlook a little bit, or that perception a little bit, but for me, a lot of it is just, saying, okay, I played this and this on the Super Nintendo, it looks like this and this, and then I played this and this in the Genesis, and it looks like this and this. They almost look indistinguishable. And then, fuck, I don't even know where I'm going with this stupid-ass rant. I'm just... This is the kind of thing that would have to be, like, better thought out in, like, an essay form. I don't know. I never try to base my thoughts on a system around its specs. You always want to base it around its games. But there are situations where you kind of think, okay, well, this is more impressive than the same kind of thing you would find on another system. For me, I find the visuals that you find in this game to be more impressive than what is found in many Super Nintendo games, because the Genesis doesn't have... Oh shit, don't die. Oh, come on! I need health, not a weapon power-up. Game over, guys. No, I do get to continue, so I'm going to do that. But basically what I was saying was that... Ah, shit, I'll be back here again. Well, at least this probably lets me power up. But I'm probably gonna die. Oh, man. Oh, jeez. This is just asking for trouble. Yeah, I'm not even going to continue on that rant I was on, because it's getting way too convoluted. I'm not even making sense to myself anymore. I'm probably going to get downrated for that whole, last rant I just had. But, what can I do about it? I could chop it all out, but that would just, make half the video silent. Literally half the video silent. For those of you guys kind of interested in that sort of topic, sometimes my buddy Chris and I, we kind of touch on that topic a little bit, just briefly, on our podcast. It's the Implant Games podcast. You can go to implantgames.com to check it out if you're interested. Bi-weekly podcast. As of recording this, we're up to about 35 episodes, so we've been doing it for a while. If you enjoy topics like that, you'll enjoy the podcast. We're not very biased. Neither one of us are very, very biased. We have our own opinions. We have our nostalgia, our points of nostalgia. We have systems we prefer over one another, but for each of us, there's not really a system either one of us hates. Me especially. I think I like even more systems than Chris does. There's very few systems I don't like. I mean, even like the Gamecom, as crappy as it is, and my god, it's crappy, it has a game or two that's probably, I can kill some time with and enjoy. So I'm not biased. If you're into conversations like these, not with myself, but with between two people, we bring things like occasionally specs into the picture and to our conversations, like kind of like what I was dabbling on there. I think we might have even had a topic at one point in time where we were comparing visuals between the SNES and Genesis, maybe figuring out which one was technically more impressive. Now, I always say the Genesis stuff was technically more impressive because, again, it didn't have it didn't have specialized chips to assist in hardware. Basically, it was just, it was all programming tricks and techniques. So that to me is more impressive. So, but that's it. We have conversations like that a lot on the podcast. We talk about a lot of good stuff on there. So I mean, if you haven't listened to it before, check it out. Implantgames.com. I know, shameless plug, but I really don't plug my podcast all that much here on YouTube. The podcast is actually a really big part of what I do here on the web. It's what I do a lot of. Every 2 weeks I have to record it. It's an hour and a half long episode, typically. Hour to an hour and a half long. And yeah. So it's, aside from doing like YouTube videos and reviews and casual reviews typically, it's really the podcast. It takes up, that is a major focal point in what I do here on the web. So if you haven't checked it out and you want to check out other stuff I do, check it out. Check out the podcast. I'd also be curious to know what you think about it. I'll try it out. Maybe you'll become a fan. So again, final boss. Hopefully I don't die this time. Fortunately, my firepower is stronger than it was when I got here the first time. It looks like I'm gonna stay up here and not get hit by him, which is great. Now you just have to shoot him and not get hit like I am. And then that's it. We just beat the game, guys. I always felt this end was a little underwhelming. It was a little underwhelming of a last boss. And kind of annoying. It's actually kind of hard to dodge his bullets, but I can't complain too much. I think overall this is a great game. It's got some really good visuals. It's got a fantastic kicking soundtrack. And it's just fun. You can do 2 players at the same time. And if you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. And here's the ending. A very good theme song for the ending too. I like it a lot. that's it. Now the ending is it's kind of underwhelming compared to the rest of the game. It's just a close-up of Batman's big, fat, chunky face. And to be honest, they probably ran out of cartridge space by this point. I noticed this was a 2 megabyte ROM file, which is actually pretty big for a Genesis game. I mean, a lot of earlier Genesis games were like 512 KB, I think. So this is pretty large for a Genesis game. And but this was one of my few complaints about the game, is the ending was just kind of very quick and brief, cut and dry. I mean, it took us an hour and 15 minutes to beat the video. We're up at we're an hour and 16 minutes right now. So I mean, it took us over an hour to complete the game. The ending's literally like a minute long, minute and a half long. So that's a shame. But overall, I think this is still a great game. So let me go ahead and stop reading my email from my phone that I got while I was doing this. But you know, I hope you guys enjoyed this Let's Play. I'm not sure when I'll do my next Let's Play. I've been kind of doing these just on a whim as I felt like doing them, so we'll see when the next one will be. But I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, the Adventures of Batman and Robin for the Sega Genesis. Was using the whole 6-button controller this whole time. The official Sega 6-button controller, not that crappy Majesco re-release one with the blue button and the really sticky buttons. This is what it's all about, guys. If you have a Sega Genesis, get this controller. A little bit bigger than the Majesco one too. It fits nicer in your hands. So, and but yeah. Oh, I didn't tell you, but I'm also playing this on the old Sega CDX, the Franken CDX, because I've got the headphones coming out of the side for stereo sound, and the AV coming out of the side for the video, and then the AC adapter comes out the top. And then I got the EverDrive in it, and that's how we're playing it. It's the Franken CDX. Don't buy one of these thinking that it'll be really compact, because if you want stereo sound and you want well, basically stereo sound, you're stuck. It's almost the size, it's actually, with it all sticking out, it's the same size as a regular Genesis. So don't buy a CDX thinking you're going to get a compact unit unless you want to just hook it up with mono AV. Then it'll be a little bit better, but even then, you know, having the video sticking out from the side is just kind of a bad idea in my opinion. But I'm trailing off, that's not the point of this video, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with some more videos sometime soon. So until then, take care.